Once you have your Astral Imprisonment, you can also kind of control the creep wave that way as well. That's a little bit more pressure in the first 3 levels here onto the puck. The issue does come in down the line when you're trying to get control. The Meteor Hammer timing onto puck is very difficult. But the laning phase, I think the OD does have a better time, and Bob's just going to have to put his body forward. We'll see if Bob does hit that record point today, as I don't think he's had the best times for his team recently, but we know how Bob performs, and he
bot lane, you've got Palos and a Bing there against Kimizu and Carlo. Pretty kind of dangerous lineup here from Execration, because you do have that double stun kind of lineup here from the dire end. Palos and a Bing, I suppose they should remain relatively safe, considering you do have the Aphotic Shield to throw out as a Bing, assuming you're not the one caught by those double stuns. So Palos, he should remain relatively safe. And Bing, again, just has to be very careful not to get caught by a rogue arrow.
Yeah, it's the big concern, and I think that's where you, again, pick that Abaddon just to have the spell on hand to deal with the chain stuns. It is a harder lane for Palos to hold, especially in the first 2 levels. Even the 3rd level, it's not that good for the TA, but as long as he's not being completely zoned out, he's putting his body forward just fine, you're going to be fine, right? Like, you're not always going to be able to line up for the hoof stomp into arrow. There's a lot of creeps around. Palos is really sticking up to the creep wave, not really giving the angles out, and that's all you need to do. Just a more passive lane for Neon. As long as they get the grip on the farm, you're kind of all right with Kimizu working the lane as much as he wants as well.
Of course, the final lane, you've got that top lane with Nando there on the troll against Enryu and Narman, the birthday boy himself on that Weaver, and of course Vincenzo on the Bane. Seems like a pretty passive lane, at least for now. Nando, of course, could get aggressive later on here on the troll, but I dare say OB.NEON are the ones that potentially get a little bit aggressive here on the Mars Weaver. You just need one spear with the swarm out, and it's just so much minus armor and damage that can be pumped out from OB.NEON. But now, though, Execration playing it very safe, just making sure they keep their distance. They recognize that the strength of this duo here in the offlane of OB.NEON won't push it too far.
Yep, just kind of take it slow, build up, kind of same story as we're seeing from Palos and bot lane. So Nando's just going to want to focus in on his initial farm as well and build up. I think that does mean mid's going to be where most of the action comes out from. Not necessarily early on looking for kill attempts, but once they hit that level 6 spike, that's when the opportunities open up for rotations. Maybe when you get level 6 on the offlanes as well, like Arena can set you up, especially against something like Troll, or even the OD could get caught off guard if he's not careful, and the Stampede does allow you to kind of piece up.
Double stun out on Palos. He didn't have the Aphotic Shield from a Bang, as he was busy just taking a banner away from the dire end, but it won't matter. For now, the TA is just fine. Palos is known to play these POS 1 TAs, and he does generally do a pretty fantastic job on these kind of heroes. The Bang now is going to rotate back in, but it's not going to lead to too much. Again, it's just a bit of a farming matchup between these two teams right now, and neither side really making a big jump in yet. I suppose we do kind of expect rotations to happen from perhaps the mid lane before we do expect some kills to come out. So maybe Mamang Dai, maybe Bob eventually rotates from this mid lane and tries to set up for a first blood attempt. But I'd say more than likely it should be Mamang Dai, as Bob on the OD is at least going to want the meteor happen before he does anything.
Yeah, you really need that additional control, that ability to contribute more to the fights outside of just right clicks and an astral here and there. The thing with OD is,
oh, he's going to be fine, John. Go on.
Yeah, the thing with the OD is, like, after the Meteor Hammer, I think the tendency is to kind of prioritize Ags for the double astral, at least the times we've seen it. And it's that in-between after Meteor Hammer into Ags that just feels really dead for the hero. So it has this really insane spike with Meteor Hammer up, and then it becomes really passive, especially once the control feels like it's not enough. There's not enough burst flowing through. So that's what I want to kind of see with Bob. Like, will he be able to ride through that point? Is he going to go for a different sort of item after the Meteor Hammer? Maybe opting for, say, a Force Staff, maybe Blink, trying to show up around, be more active on the map. I think they need something like that on their mid to enable the troll to really just focus on farm here.
Carlo trying to find an angle there onto a Bang, but is unable to see the Abaddon. The spot lane is getting very kind of action-packed here as Execration. They are certainly looking for those angles to land those big stuns. Top lane, however, Narman drops fairly low, but is going to be able to stick charge and be just fine, as Enryu does zone out Nando. And still 5.5 minutes in, no first blood occurring. But we've had plenty of close scenarios between these two teams. They are trying, but nobody dying quite yet. I suppose that's what we love to see, John. A nice close matchup between teams. We might actually get a 2-1 today.
Yeah, again, I think this is the series most likely to go 2-1 when it comes to these team matchups. They're fairly close in skill level. They've got a lot to play for, kind of fighting to stay in Div 1, as, you know, a lot of them would rate them under the top dogs of SEA right now, but there's always potential, and these two are the teams that have that sort of secret sauce behind them if they find a good start. Still, I think it also comes down to draft being a lot more passive. We do hit that item spike here on Bob, so Meteor Hammer's up. He can pressure the mid lane. He's got level 6 ready with Sanities, and he will go for the arrow.
Oh, nice arrow from Carlo. Great timing there from the Marana. Tips out from Bob onto Mamangdaya, and that'll be first blood going the way of the OD. So already a great start for Bob. He wants to pressure that mid-tier 1 tower, and well, now you gave him that first blood bonus. He's more than happy right now. In fact, we might have another one coming in. Meteor Hammer into an arrow, and it's just that easy.
Under attack.
You get that timing right between Bob and Carlo, and it's almost a guaranteed kill.
Yeah, and I love that rotation coming out from EXECRATION, right? You've got so many Marana combos that EXECRATION had to come out from Carlo this game. We weren't seeing the combinations on the off lane with a hoof stomp, but for mid, they line up, and there was a lot of conversation, a lot of talk about locking in the puck. Looks like they don't need to rely on Meteor. They've always got Carlo, although Bob.
Yeah, coils out, Bob. He's going to cop a fair bit of damage, but I don't believe it's going to be enough, and well, Bob will put the hand up. He won't get a high five, but pretty sure that's not what he wanted anyway, as the tier 1 mid tower does get denied off by a bang. But you've really got to give props to Bob and Carlo to find a tier 1 mid tower this early on in a pro match. That is a very
year break. On and just keep running around. This kind of start for Bob is scary. He's going Midas.
Yeah, I mean, if he can be this greedy, that is a pretty big cause of concern here for OB.NEON, as now Vincenzo top lane getting body blocked, but bot lane, Kimizu does end up dropping, so Mamangdaya with a successful rotation does get something done.
Scanning. How does that even work?
What side of the map, but the rotations are immediate now from EXECRATION as they smoke up with Bob and Carlo. Down towards the bot, they'd love to find Palos. They'll have plenty of damage, assuming they can land that arrow. And speaking of that arrow, my goodness, Palos. He doesn't flinch, John. He just keeps TPing, but that was a close call.
Radiant's bottom tower still
That's a really good guess coming out there from Armorana, but even if they don't find a kill, they can get the push. And that Meteor Hammer and be able to so much, and they're still clumping around mid as well. Kimizu works his way there, Vincenzo's around. They've got the arrow and Carlo ready.
Oh, nightmare though, Vincenzo. He's gonna set up onto Mamangdaya. A bang, he does at least have a photic shield, but is a bit slow with it.
Tower's about to be Radiant's top rubble.
Still, it's within enough time that he allows Mamangdaya to get out. But for a bang right now, it just feels like there's too many people to a photic shield. I mean, these guys, they could be anywhere. You just need a nightmare or the astral imprisonment. You've just got the easiest arrow setup of your life.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure on Up-Bang to get the timing of that spell used right and kind of save his course, but they need to have follow-through for those saves. They can play really defensive and back off, but your puck kind of wants to run and gun at this point. You know, you want to play with a Dream Coil combo with your Mars, get some breaks, get some good arenas off. EXECRATION aren't giving them any angles with the mid-tier 1 and bot tier 1 taken. They're rotating top.
Arrow going to be taken by Enryu, but that's not going to help out. That's going to make it worse. Oh, and he gets the tip. I don't think Enryu did that on purpose, mind you, John. I believe he accidentally took the arrow. Nevertheless, though, you know, another great win here for
Dire's middle
Execration.
tower's in trouble.
Yeah,
Which
and
one,
now
Dire
they
again?
can just be aggressive up top, start to
Radiant's
push
top
in the
tower's
last
under
tier 1
attack.
tower up the side of Neon.
Radiant
While
called
that
in the
happens, they give Nando's
fortification.
free space bot to farm on the troll. He's going for the Battle Fury troll as well.
Radiant's top
So
tower ain't
Execration
looking
have a
too
really good read
steady.
here. They're just going for the long game. They can kind of compensate with the aggression coming out from Kimizu and the damage output of Bob early, but they can invest in the late game with her troll and just kind of match the timings of the TA down the line when she does manage to start to snowball and farm. So it's working out well for Execration so far. Neon have a lot of issues. They are going for a smoke play. Mamang Dai is there with the 2 supports. They can play with the Dream Coil. It's been sitting ready to go, but I think they need Enryu to follow through with that kind of movement.
Carlo, he's around as well to break the smoke up. Mamang Dai, though, just going to spot him out and just pops the coil. No playing around here with this Mirana.
Bottom tower
They
needs
want
a
every
hand.
kill they can get for now. They'll take it. Nando, though, I mean, that'd be
Here
a
comes
pretty
Dire's
kill if they could
plucky
get it,
little
but
courier.
with the
Oops,
coil
it
down,
is.
I mean, there's just
Bottom
no
tower
chance of
is
killing
under
off Nando. Let's go back towards this triangle. It's fine to keep farming up its top lane. They'll find Enryu now with the Fiend's Grip out. Kimizu, I'm not sure if he quite has enough damage, but he can slowly chip away at Enryu. So the Nightmare there as well, just buying even more time. Enryu, though, he charges up, and with the armor toggling, he might make it out, but it doesn't look like it. They land the stun, they get the double edge out, and Enryu, I mean, he made it hard, but eventually they'll be able to secure the kill.
Yeah, and I think the timings of Enryu are just so important. Like, that blink has to come out here from our Mars, so you're stalling out that key tool for Neon to actually start playing in a bigger group and forcing out more control, more team fights here to punish that read. It's not coming true yet. Palos does have the D-Lance up going into the Desolator, but look at this bomb.
They've mistimed the arrow, though. You had a bang there
Radiant's
just
top
in case
tower's
Palos
about to
needed it,
topple.
and he did. The arrow was a little bit mistimed there from Carlo this time around. But no, Execration still 1k net worth ahead. You've gotten to the point where Kimizu does have the full blink up on the Centaur. That means even more ways of initiating to set up for the arrow. I think things have gotten much scarier for OB.NEON now as Execration, they're smoked up as 3 again. Down towards the bot side of the map they go. The only hero around, though, is going to be Narman on the Weaver. They're not quite the best target to try and find. They may just have to accept it. That is, if they can find him. Senzo would love to set up for a nice Nightmare into Arrow, but Narman, oh, he's trapped up now. Kimizu surely spots him out, and the Hoofstop is there. Arrow will fly in, Nightmare will be on, and Vincenzo just making sure they land that arrow. Execration, they'll take a free kill for themselves.
Yeah,
Dire's
not
top
the biggest
tower's
kill.
under attack.
I think Neon's doing the right thing while all of that action breaks out. They just stalled out long enough for Palos to clear out his Ancients, go into
Dire's
that
top
Desolator,
tower
which is
has
almost up.
fallen.
They take the tier 1 in
Radiant's
exchange up
bottom
top
tower
as well.
needs a hand.
They've got some towers to play with. They have to be careful about losing some bigger objectives, though. They do commit on this bot tier 2. It's gonna be
Radiant's
relatively
bottom
easy to melt.
tower is
Kimizu
under
can just
attack.
tank this now. He's got Max Retaliate, he's got the Vanguard. He's not worried about the tower damage.
Dire's top tower is about to be
Gonna
Radiant's
try and set up
top
bot lane.
rubble.
Immediate retreat, though, from Execration. It's just great play here. It's Execration now. Pop the Moonlight Shadow. They still understand how powerful they are. In this game number 1, they'll rush
Radiant
towards that
scanning
Radiant
for
Triangle. Hoping for perhaps a TA kill, but the scan is going to be there. They know Execration are smoked. Palos will try to retreat now, but he might just have to force the TP out. There, do they? Oh, they dropped the sentry. He's within the sentry right now. Bob's gonna have a look. They found him. Palos has been spotted out. The arrow is off the mark, however. Palos will survive as the coil does come out onto Kimizu. They'll chase the Centaur down, but Bob is gonna be there to try and help out, but it won't be enough. Kimizu is gone. Execration. Looks like they couldn't believe their eyes finding the TA there in the tree line. They just kind of whiff everything.
Yep. A bit of a missed opportunity. It felt like they should have had that kill, but they really needed to chain their stunts together. Now, there is no Dream Coil, so it's a bit hard for Neon to force this next fight out.
It's just a casual arrow there from Carlo. Not going to go all the way, as they knew a Beng was probably behind Mamang Dai in that instance.
Radiant's bottom tower needs
Operational
a
played a
hand.
bit more conservatively. Keep buying time for Nando. I mean, that's really all you want anyway, is this dire side. Is to make sure your troll's farming. And Nando's having a great old time. Top the net worth board right now. Battle Fury's up. Sure, you've got to be worried about that timing from OB.NEON with this draft. Obviously, you get to a point where
Dire
Palos and
scanning
Mamang
for
Daya
enemies.
become a little bit too much to bear.
A prize.
But at least for now, they haven't quite gotten to that timing yet.
Yeah, it's still going to take a little bit longer for Neon to hit their big spikes. BKBs are going to be among the most important things for Neon, especially for Palos, to stop the engage. Although,
Gonna try and make the jump in onto Kamizu, and they've got the feet down with the arrow follow-up. They're gonna try and find though OB.NEON. Can they get something done? They'll take down Vincent versus Carlo now. He'll also get deleted. They've even found Bob. That's the target you want. Bob, he's waited around way too long, but Kamizu, he'll jump in again, but it's not gonna be enough. The trap damage gets it done. And that'll be a 3-for-1 trade in favor of OB.NEON.
Dire's middle
And certainly
tower is
not
under
very
attack.
good news for EXECRATION.
Dire's putting up a barricade.
great punishment out from Neon. They
Radiant's
found a really good
bottom tower is
angle
under
for the
attack.
Storm to fly through. They managed to clean up afterwards. They were a bit clumped up. But Abing is getting his positioning
Radiant's
right here,
bottom
Mike.
tower
Just
needs a
having the
hand.
aphotic shield on hand to break the hard control of EXECRATION makes it a lot harder than it should be for EXECRATION to get these fast pickoffs. And I think going for the Mars first is tough. You're relatively tanky on Enryu. He's got the armlet. He's had it for a while. He's been toggling really well. The additional HP just stalls out the burst window of EXECRATION long enough for the counter initiation to come in.
Senzo, warm out. Zern is there as well. They'll have a nice spear. Another nice little support pickup here from OB.NEON as EXECRATION. After such a fantastic start, you'd hate to see them throw it back the way of OB.NEON, but it is starting to feel like that's exactly where it's going.
Tower looks to be
The mid-tier 1
disintegrating.
tower now is under siege by Mamang Daya. Slowly chipping away. They don't quite have Palos around with the
Dire's
death,
middle
so
tower
to
is
really
under
make sure
attack.
this tower just gets deleted instantly, but nevertheless, Mamang Daya will be more than enough to get it done.
Dire's middle tower is
That'll be it,
falling.
no real defense to come out.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Yeah. It's a bit worrying to see from EXECRATION, but I think they understand that. Sure, we're trading a couple of kills away. We are still buying out a lot of time for
Dire's
Nando.
top tower is about to be
He's
Radiant's
got the
top
Yasha up
level.
along with the Battle Fury, so straight into BKB next, and that's the point where the troll becomes a massive issue.
Radiant's
because
bottom tower
their
is
counterplay
under
for
attack.
BKB is Ags on Puck. Mamang Daya is rushing the Ags, which is not the usual build to see, although Vincenzo.
Yeah, Vincenzo again. Just easy pickings here for Enryu. Free food for the Mars. And as OB.NEON, I mean, you're kind of considering going Roshan now.
Dire's
Maybe you get the top tier
tower
2
is under
first just to be safe and take that dire outpost, but right after Palos with the Deso up, he could easily go for that Roshan attempt.
Dire's top
And it
tower
seems
is
as
under
though
attack.
EXECRATION, they are not going to try and defend this top
Radiant
tier 2.
structures are fortified.
Interesting decision to make. That is certainly going to give OB.NEON the advantage
Dire's
going to
top
that
tower
Roshan
is
pit.
under attack.
Opens out the
Dire's
outpost.
top
They will
tower
force the
is
response
the
out for the
tower
defense,
noble.
though, and Nando needs to be careful.
Goes out. Nando, he's a massive
Radiant's
target to
bottom
get.
tower has
He'll finish off
fallen.
that tier 2 tower. Astral will be able to save the troll for now as Enryu. He'll jump into the
They're
backside and he's found
unstoppable.
Bob out. In fact, Silence is there. Nando ends up going down without the battle trance being expended. And now Kamizu, he'll try to stampede away, but Mamang Daya right on the tail. Be able to secure a second kill for OB.NEON. And you just rush Roshan now. The line's been drawn out.
It's a massive opening for the side of Neon. EXECRATION, a bit of a scattered fight. They were frontlining with their troll. He gets silence and he can't use Battle Trance, so his saving spell isn't there. Sure, he did manage to force out the Dream Coil use, but Arena's going to be up shortly anyway, so if there is a counterfight from EXECRATION, it's not going to be very easy to approach Neon, and this shouldn't take too long for Palos. A couple of interesting things happened in that last fight, Mike. Bob got stuck by the cliff in forest. Not sure how he got pushed in there, but he was cut off from providing anything else for the team. I think it was a spear back, weaving him through the tree line, just ending up in the low ground. So he was saved, but he also couldn't contribute. He couldn't go in for the Astrals. After the saving Astral on Nando, couldn't go in for the Santis Eclipse to clean up. And they miss out on an opportunity for us. But still, first rush of the game going the way of Neon. Again, no counterfight from EXECRATION because they already popped Stampede and couldn't get into position in time. They did find a tier 2 bot in the end, but it cost them a lot. I don't think the map control you get there for Execration is equal to the control Neon got from the top tier 2, just because it feels like that Dire outpost is a lot more important because of Roshan.
Jumped on here by Mamang Dire, but no real commitment yet. Just a bit of a warning shot here towards Bob. OB.NEON. A little bit more patient. Palos, he has got the full BKB up though. You might want to smoke up as 5, but they've got to address the bot lane, which has been forced in by... I suppose you do have to still be somewhat concerned about Nando, as he is still very farmed up on this troll. Not quite enough though. I mean, he's still just trying to work towards that BKB. So OB.NEON, they do smoke up as 3 now. Into that triangle they go, and they'll find themselves a primary candidate. Nando, he's going to back off the right time, but Mamang Dire, he's quick with the Dream Coil out. Do they have enough damage before the ulti does get popped? Nando, he'll get the BKB off in time. The courier delivering it just the right moment. Zenryu now gets chased down. The arena not enough to save him, and Mamang Dire, he also gets caught by Vincenzo. Gonna be 2 down for now as Carlo. He'll go for another. A bang. He's got borrowed time, so he can take quite a bit of time to try and take him out. More TPs to come in though, just in case as Bob. He'll join the fray. Palos, he's a bit late to the party, but he's going to try anyway. Onto Bob he goes. Nando, meanwhile, he'll just focus down Narman. Palos, I mean, that was his first BKB charge. Oh, he's going to go again. Palos! Yes. How ballsy do you have to be to do this shot? He'll force a buyback from Narman to boot. I'm not sure if this is the way, Palos, but he'll keep going. Kimizu, he will drop, but that was just the Aegis. They'll keep going now onto the center as Kimizu will try to run. Spirit Vessel will tick him down, but not quite enough to finish him off. That was your Aegis gone, though. Palos, he's not done, however. Onto Bob now. They love the OD. They'll force the BKB out, but Bob, he is still dropping and does. Mamang Dire gets the job done as they'll go back in onto Vincenzo. They may have found another kill, and they will. So in the end, the prolonged team fight does pay off for OB.NEON.
Radiant's top
it's
tower
a lot
is under
of
attack.
back and forth. I think the fight was fairly scrappy for both sides, but it looked good for Execration first. The buyback from Norman does pay off. And because of that, even if they drop Aegis, they just go straight into another tier 2. So they're shutting out more map from Execration. Execration off the back of those kills weren't in position to really get anything out on the map. You know, they had no angle to push out from, no way of taking more map control back their way. And Neon just read it perfectly and managed to clean up. They really do need these items to be running up on Execration soon. Like the stat resistance on Nando, he needs a full SNY. If he just gets caught out with a silence, he's forced to BKB earlier than he'd want to, and then immediately go into Battle Trance. Those are your big items and spells immediately gone from the troll just to counter initiate. I think the ideal situation for Execration is that they will only need to commit maybe Stampede first to get Nando safely, bait out the use of Dream Coil, and then go in with BKB and Battle Trance and counter initiate from there. But it's kind of forced in reverse. Like we see Nando always forced to use his spells first, then they get the Stampede to chase down. That gives Neon enough time to react, regroup, and reset for another fight if they are split up. So Neon playing to the strengths of their drafts well. Palos has had a really free time on this TA, and every single time Palos takes the safe point TA, it just feels like he delivers. Right? Like it's a hero he's very comfy with. We've seen him play that from his time he was subbing in Room as well. And it's just something he knows the ins and outs of. It's such a strong win condition for Neon to build around. And I think we heard it from Narman's interview, right? He said, Palos is our win condition. If he has a good time in lane, we're going to have a really good time as well. So it looks like our birthday boy's happy because Palos is definitely online this time around.
Bot lane, I think Execration may not be too happy about this as Nando, he's trapped up in the coil for now. Being grouped out onto Nama, but it means nothing. Kimizu, he'll try to stampede, but the arena going to trap him in as Palos, he will rush for more. But nobody's left. Everybody else does retreat. OB.NEON, so aggressive now. This is their timing after all. They've got to make everything happen while they can. It's going to be another smoke up. As for, you did commit arena for that Centaur kill. I'm not sure it exactly matters. Neon gonna be able to find much as Nando, he has backed off. In fact, everyone's back into the Dire base. But if you're OB.NEON, I mean, you're just looking towards that bottom tier 2 tower now. It's the only outer tower left standing.
It's going to be a really easy objective to take. I think the EXECRATION are very happy they dropped those earlier wards to spot out that attempt from Neon after that engagement. It does buy them some time to just
Dire's bottom tower's
That's
getting...
disengaging from
We'll have to kind of just lick their wounds and back off for now, and maybe just wait out the next Roshan and perhaps go for a fight over that.
I think that's the ideal situation for EXECRATION, because that's going to allow them to really think about the objectives next. Once they've got that secondary life up and running, they are still clumped around a triangle. They've got really good control on this area of the map. My 3 wards watching across the diagonal of that area. They can always go in for these plays.
Armin gets stunned up by Kinizu, and that'll be your Weaver gone. Another nice pick up here from EXECRATION. Roshan 5 seconds away from spawning, but top lane, or rather bot lane, Palos ends up killing off Nando. Alright, that's a little bit concerning here, as there is no buyback available for the Troll Warlord. And so Palos, he'll just go onto that tier 3 tower. Mama dies in the backside, and they just blow up Vincenzo. He just disappears.
Radiant's top tower is under
Kamizu, wait, he's a tanky centaur, but he's not that tanky. In fact, Enryu does catch him out with the arena down. They've got another.
Radiant's top tower.
There is buyback on Kamizu if he needs it.
And
he may, as Vincenzo's died back immediately. Palos is just doing way too much damage. Enryu, he's back in on a bomb, forcing the BKB out. Kamizu, still buyback as well with a stampede. They'll at least try and find Enryu, but it's not good enough. There's no damage output. Back to the bot racks they go.
Dire's bottom barracks had so many enemies.
There is no stopping OB.NEON. Onto this bot racks.
Has fallen. Dire's bottom barracks
They will respect Nando, though. They will back off.
Yep, they've gotten really easy angle for the Rosh here if they want to, Mike. You've been pointing out it is back up. That is Rosh number 2 with the Ag Shard. And it's not going to take too long with the Palos. He's got the full Daedalus up. He's going into the Swift Blink next. His damage will skyrocket once you hit that point. For EXECRATION, I mean, Nando, he bought out the Basher. Right? He's going into Satanic, so he's trying to play the long game, trying to have 2 ways of staying alive in the middle of these team fights. It might pay off, but it's still going to take a while longer for the Troll to really hit its spike. And our OD as well has started to lag a bit behind. Number 3 net for it, but the gap between Bob and Nando and Palos is pretty wide. So our OD is like an item behind. He needs to take his time to build up, get some more insight. I think that's been such a big factor, ensuring that they've got ways to angle themselves back in. It's because OB.NEON is in the right spot at the right time, saving his chorus and forcing EXECRATION to commit so much for a hero they can't do. But they don't have the wards to back off that playstyle. The vision of Neon's great, though.
Arrow's gonna just land on a creep.
Maybe
A little bit longer as they chase down the Mars, but Mamangdaya, he's back in. Henry is down. But Nando, he does make his escape. He is out of there as Mamangdaya now. He's the one in danger, but he'll ult to the low ground. Nando, he'll rejoin his teammates as Palace is going to try and man up and just fight the best he can against the troll wall of a Nando. He's doing quite a bit of damage, or is he? Through the refraction they go. They got the Aegis down. Can they get him a second time? Nando's low. He's still fine though as they just perma-stun up to TA. And Palos will drop as Mamangdaya now. Trying to go in after the troll, but it's just not enough damage. Arrow connecting perfectly from Carlo as they run in one by one after Nando. Nobody gets the kill they wanted. They just clean up EXECRATION. They make the high ground defense work.
there was a bit of overcommitment there from Neon, though, Mike. They kept re-engaging through the buybacks of EXECRATION, and those did pay off. Like, OB.NEON was still doing a great job of protecting all his heroes in front. Great shields were coming out, but eventually they just commit to onto one hero, burst them down, clean up. And Neon has to be very careful about forcing long fights because Bob gets stronger and stronger as he builds up the Astral Imprisonment spam, building up to a lot of damage in that Santis. And of course, his constant damage output now with the pure damage on the orbs, on the arcane orbs, is consistent. We're at the point where the OD is going to be hurting a little bit more than you'd expect, even without too much itemization coming out. And with Nando and Satanic up, he's got multiple ways of staying alive up front. Unfortunately for them, they've got DD as well, so they can just siege high ground while it's up. And with the troll, this doesn't take too much time.
That's a lot of damage. I mean, Nando, he makes very short work of that mid-Rax as there is no chance of defense from OB.NEON.
Barracks has fallen.
In Rio Naman, they'll make the chase down on EXECRATION, but they will find nothing. Suddenly, the tables have kind of turned here between EXECRATION and OB.NEON. Like, I dare say EXECRATION might have found themselves in the lead now. The net worth just pretty much even. Now we've gotten to a point where Carlo's got the full sight Visor.
Yeah, it becomes a lot easier for them to pin down that pesky Hawk, or even the TA. She's not going to be able to blink around, just do what she wants. And the constant bashing coming through from EXECRATION is just a bit of an issue, right? Nando with the basher is doing so much work. He's got the root, he's got the bash to play with, the disarm usage of OB.NEON's going to be really important. So Enryu has a lot of pressure on him to find the perfect moment to get that Heaven's Halberd off. It's just a matter of when, because you kind of want to save that for the Battle Trance, but if you see your core being twacked away, getting bashed up, you feel pressure to use it then you kind of, you're going to give Nando that opportunity to build up. Still looking for
Carlo will use up through the Meld Strike. Enryu, though, he's already committed the Spirit back to big move stop out. Kamizu, he got 3 targets with that. Still no backup. Bakarina now going to be dropped by Enryu, but who are we aiming? Nando, he's fine. He's got the BKB up. That coil has been committed. That is the Axe coil. So stun is there onto the drop, but now the Fiend's Grip going to hold one down. Nando, he'll just keep going and keep trying to find a target. As Palos is somehow still alive throughout all this as well. Bob, he does get a double though. Narman and Beck both down. Palos, he'll just keep running, keep kiting, but Kamizu does catch him, and now the arrow comes in. They've got Palos down. Mamang Daya does at least find Bomb, but it doesn't feel that worth for OB.NEON. They are still in the chase. Oh, the side device, it does connect here from Carlo into the arrow now. Aeon Disc, it was already procced earlier. Another great team fight from EXECRATION. OB.NEON, they tried so hard, John, but well, they didn't get too far.
Yeah, and they have no buybacks, so this is a big opportunity for EXECRATION to just force in, because Nando's up, he can just melt the towers, no problem. Doesn't have too much to worry about. Battle Trance and BKB coming up in time as well, in case Neon do want to go for a defensive play. So this is EXECRATION just kind of reeling it back in. They're going to even out the bot lane with super creeps of their own. And mid lane, they can just kind of clean up if they wanted to. There are some, they've still got some stalling tactics here in Neon with the disarms and the stuns, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. I think Nando's in a good point to just put his body forward.
No.
Titanic on top, so Nando, he's sitting pretty. That'll be the secondary lane of barracks here for EXECRATION. They are still trying to just defend something here for OB.NEON, but not really in a position where they can. Not without Palos and Mamang Daya. So now one lane of barracks left for OB.NEON. More importantly, Roshan is going to be up in 1 minute. And John, you look at that graph. It's a pretty sharp nosedive down for the side of EXECRATION. Very kind of back and forth game here between these two, as now they found out the Abaddon, but a Beng, he's going to be left alone. Tenzo just going to throw out the casual nightmare, and that'll be enough for him. Like I mentioned earlier, this next Roshan, it's just too important for either side.
And you've got a pretty good advantage now for EXECRATION going in there. There's still good AoE control from Neon, right? Like they've got Arena, they've got that Dream Coil Ags on Mamang Daya as well, but this feels like EXECRATION's damage output, their timings are there. They've got a Hex up on Bob and on Carlo, so double Hex is coming through. The TA and the Puck is going to be very vulnerable to that control. There is a smoke and smoke though.
There he is, Nando. He's going to bait for the team, but they got the spear out in time. He's still fine though. In fact, Nando, he's got a double damage rune, so the damage output's going to be way too high. OB.NEON, they might need to just kite out this team fight. It doesn't look good for him, as Nando, he's got in. He found Palos with the refraction charges to allow him to blink away, at least for now, but a Beng now. He's been caught out, or has he? They actually got Nando. The BKB's there. Satanic, no, it was not in time. Nando ends up dropping his Palos. He now turns back around onto Kamizu, and that should be another. They got the Centaur gone. They'll find the Bane as well. And that looked like a very rough start to the team fight for OB.NEON, but they make their way out and they just kind of reinitiate back in.
It's really good use of the Heaven's Halberd coming through from Enryu. I think he managed to stall out. EXECRATION have no real easy way of melting through Palos' refraction. That's becoming an issue. You can't just rely fully on your troll. He has to get chain bashes to get that working. Sometimes you're just not lucky. Buybacks are forced out, so they should be able to get the hold here.
Mamang Daya, he's going to catch him out. Keep in mind, he does not have Aeon Disc right now. It is on cooldown. Going to try and find a retreat. Maybe just leave a Beng behind to just tank the gank. In fact, never mind that, because Enryu has been caught by Nando with the bashes. We're trying to go invis, BKB out, but none of it matters. The Beng tried for the TP up, but is not going to be able to make it. He'll eventually drop. So OB.NEON, they went from a great team fight to a high ground push to what appears to be a counter push now, or perhaps a Roshan from EXECRATION.
Yeah, and this is a big opening for EXECRATION. I mean, the Rosh is scouted out by Neon, so they know it's up. And they could have made that play for it instead, but they want to force the issue onto mid. That's going to force buybacks to defend that Rosh. They've got the arena, they've got the Dream Coil here on Neon, so they can force the engagement inside, but they're going to have to move quick. This Roshan's not going to last long at all.
Radiant are
Certainly
scared of
isn't.
enemies.
Mongdai going to try and delay things as best as he possibly can.
Take us.
With the whole team making their way over right now from the Radiant, but Nando just getting to work. Does have the Aegis right now as Bob. He'll take it himself. Nama's already gone on the Weaver. Hex out onto Mongdai to boot. But the arena is going to keep him safe. Mongdai, he'll just keep the chase up onto Vincenzo. And they even found Kamizu. So you got the Roshan on EXECRATION's end, but you've got two heroes down without buyback now.
It's a trade-off for Neon. I think you're still kind of happy about that for EXECRATION. So they can sit back, they can play a bit defensively, they can wait for the respawn, and just re-engage afterwards. They've got the safety net on their core OD with the Aegis, so they don't need to worry about Bob just immediately getting blown up. You can focus in, get as much astrals off, try to get max use of the side of Vice, and look for the bigger opportunity with the Santis Eclipse. We're reaching the point in the game here, Mike, where BKBs are trickling down to 6 seconds already. So your immunity period away from the ODs, not that long, and Bob's going to have a good time taking control if you're not careful.
Hex out again onto Mongdai, but this time the Aeon Disc was available. OB.NEON or Palos going right after Bob, but doesn't quite have the damage output yet as another Hex is there, but a Bang does save with the apoptic shield.
Dire's top barracks is full.
Poprax is going to go down as OB.NEON. They'd love to go for the Megas while these two heroes are down without buyback. Palos will get to work. Nando, he's going to have to try and defend by himself here. He does get the bashes out, but Mongdai again just going to delay as the coil's there to hold them down. They've got Bob and Carlo trapped up right now with the Sanities. Has got Nama down. A Bang, he'll make a run. Palos, meanwhile, going to try and man-find Nando, but Nando, he'll bash through the BKB. He'll just keep going with the battle trance out for the meld. There is no detection. In the meantime, on the backside, Carlo, he's gone down. He will buy back. In the meantime, a Bang, he does get caught out in the Abaddon. So a bit of a back and forth there. They did get the Aegis off Bob to boot, but they will hold that final lane of barracks here for EXECRATION.
The prize is mine.
Such an even game, Mike. I think you were talking about the graph earlier. It's just kind of ricocheted back and forth, staying at almost a 50-50 at 42 minutes in, just showing us how close Neon EXECRATION are. This match, 27-30. 2K lead for EXECRATION doesn't amount to much. I think every single core pairing is pretty much on par with each other. Maybe Kimizu's the one that's falling a bit behind, but that's compensated by Carlos' additional farm. So you have a lot of ways of approaching the fights on both ends. It does feel like EXECRATION might look to force this one out. They still have a little bit of a window for them to get that done. They've still got the cheese running on Nando as well, which they could pass on to Bob, kind of keep their OD safe. Yeah, they're just going to go for the play, knowing that they have the numbers advantage, no buybacks here.
Bob's in, but the Vice out. They've got Palos. Can they hold on to him? No, it looks like they can. Palos will buy back immediately. He needs to get back into this fight. They've caught out Mongdai though as well. They've got the puck down. Another buyback committed. Nando, he is trapped in the arena. Can they take him out? He'll eat the cheese. He's trying to survive, but he'll have to turn and fight. In fact, maybe the life steal, it might be enough. He's surviving at least for now, but the halberd is there in Palos. He gets the troll down. No buyback available for Nando. As Bob now, he's been trapped up and completely surrounded by OB.NEON. Here we go again, John. 2 down with that buyback for EXECRATION. And Palos, he is rushing through the mid lane.
Oh yeah, they see an opening here on Neon's end. They know they can go for the Mega Creep play at the least, maybe even going to the closeout if they do feel it happening. But we've seen EXECRATION make that same mistake. So it's a lot of back and forth. Both sides have been surprising us with their counterplays on each end, but I think we're at the point where RTA, if it's left unchecked, will just go through. MKB's up, attack speed's up, the evasion piercing through the evasion pierce with the MKB also kind of making short work for Troll in the middle of that fight. Takes away a lot of the EHP he gets with his axes being tossed out. They've got the answers lined up here on Neon's end. And surprisingly enough, our birthday boy has not reached X timing. Narman has constantly queued it up. We've never seen that defensive play come through. Hasn't been necessary. OB.NEON's been doing a ton of work. There is a stall tactic here on EXECRATION, though, Mike. They've got the Crimson Guard. They've got the disarm on Kimizu. They can try to buy time, but it's a lot of time they have to stall out for Nando to be back up.
Yeah, I don't think Palos cares about the Crimson Guard. C4's now under siege. OB.NEON, they know there's no buyback available, so Kimizu, he's going to jump in. Means we're found. They've got the Weaver down, so Narman, he's down with that buyback, but you've got to worry about Palos. He's the main problem here, and he's got Vincenzo gone. So it's a 3v2 situation. There's still a chance for EXECRATION to try and defend this. Halbert is out. They've got Bomb, but he's got the Gold Scepter. More time is being bought as Bomb. He will try to just astral himself up. The tier 4 now is gone as the Ancient is exposed. Bomb still trying to make his way back to the fountain, but it looks like he'll have to fight. He's got to bank down, but Palos just wipes him out. Here comes Nando though. He has respawned on the Troll, and it looks like he is actually going to force them back. So Ancient exposed, the Mega Creeps are there, but they're going to make the chase in. The Mirana exits out. They have caught the TA again. Abyssal Blade out as well with the Battle Trance. They have got Palos with the Melt Strike. Where's the detection? Somebody buy some dust. Palos, he is fine. The Meld will keep him safe. They turn back in onto Nando. They've got him again. Oh no, Palos.
They're unstoppable. Double
The
kill.
most valuable melds I've ever seen. Nobody can just see through the invis. And OB.NEON, I mean, it was a great game one between these two, but they managed to make their way through and take out the game one.
Yeah, really good news for Neon. Excellent news for Narman. Our birthday boy must be feeling pretty happy, although it's not showing in his face. But they find that win on Neon. A very tight match. I think it's to our expectations here. Like, I think all of us, and panel included, expected this one to be probably the closest match we've had so far. And it was a lot of back and forth, lots of net worth swings, lots of openings for both sides. In the end, OB.NEON rises up there, but I wouldn't say that was a very clear-cut victory. Like, I think they just managed to capitalize on some mistakes that EXECRATION made, but it wasn't flawless from either side. So I'm keen to see what happens in game 2. I think we might get 3 games here, Mike.
Oh, I'd love to see it, John. Our first 2-1 potentially is going to be upon us, but I can't wait to see what happens in game 2. We are going to head off to a short break, but right after that break, we'll be back with our second game of this best of 3.